Hey everyone, this is Pro for Never. I wanted to do a quick couple of videos on introducing people to the features of the Redux source. This is intended for people who are using Redux versions 3.1 and higher. Those are versions that I am configuring for other people or downgrading to other patches or selling to people. This exact version is running on patch 5017 of the client. It's working quite well. Haven't actually finished all of the changes yet, but you get the idea. Now I haven't finished that console yet. Regardless, the thing we're going to do today is coding an NPC from scratch, as well as coding item usages. I noticed a lot of people weren't really comfortable with how I was handling things, so I wanted to give you a basic walkthrough. Now, first things first, I did code a command to help you find NPCs that haven't yet been coded. This is not in the public version, but it's something that helps people get their server up and running that much faster. Obviously, I haven't done Death City on this version yet. What we're going to do right now is we're going to be coding space marks. So that is scrolls for water taoists. So I'm using a command to find an NPC that hasn't yet been done, or simply talking to NPCs, or using the report function to get input from players who are finding NPCs that are not yet done. So when you click on the NPC, it's saying that it can't load the script for ID 10037. So that is the ID of this NPC. When we click that, that's the script it's going to try and load. So first things first, we need to create a script for 10037. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go into the NPCs folder in my client. This is in 8 Mountain. It doesn't really matter what folder you put it in. I'm putting it there because it's more organized. Now, the thing to be careful of, though, is if, let's say, I went to 8 Mountain and tried to add... I have to close this, sorry. If I went to 8 Mountain and tried to add a new class there, then what it's going to do is it's going to put it in the namespace Redux, NPCs, and then 8 Mountain. We don't actually want that. We want it as part of the just NPCs namespace. So what I usually find is easiest if you copy an existing one. Warehouse is obviously really, really boring. Let's use the assistant as a template here. So we're going to copy and paste that. We're going to rename it so that we can find it easier. And the ID that we were editing was 10037. And we're going to call it space mark. Now, that doesn't actually do anything. That's just so we can find this class easier. So what we now need to do is we need to rename the class. Right now this is still using class 126. So if we try and debug, it's going to throw an error saying that there's already a definition for NPC 126. And that's because NPC 126 is assistant, but it's also this class. So we need to make a new class name here. So in this case, it's going to be NPC 10037. We need to then change the constructor to match that same name. We need to change the ID to 10037. And we need to set the NPC's face. Now, I'm not sure what the face is for space marks, so I'm just going to call it 1. We can always change that in the future. You can dig through the client files to find a list of all of the different avatars and faces that you can use. Also, just because it's easier to... Oops, no, that's the wrong one here. Because it's easier to search, I'm also going to rename this, so it's just going to say, well, this is what the summary of this NPC is. It's the NPC usage for ID 10037, and the NPC is called space mark. I believe that's what it's called in game. Regardless, we then need to code the actual logic of it. As with all NPCs in Conquer, the default, the first link back that you're going to run is 0. So when you click on the NPC, this is the code that happens. Now, we need to check what class the character is, because only water taoists can buy a wind mark, I believe. No, it's wind spell, not wind mark. Alright, so we need to see if client job type, yeah, profession type equals water. We allow them to buy, else do not. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. I know a lot of sources have some issues with all of these complicated checks to try and figure out things. Redux already does it all. It even has a handy enumeration here so that we can just say, oh, if they're a water tail, allow them. So we're going to say add text. I don't know if this is the correct text or not, but it's what I'm doing. So then we're going to add two options, one to say that they want to buy it, and that would be link back 1. So we're going to go to this section, which we'll edit in a second, and the other option is saying, well, they don't want to buy anything. And that is link back 255. 255 is always exiting. So we're then going to say, oh, well, you can't actually buy anything. So we don't want to show them the option to buy, because that would just look silly. And we'll just say sorry. And I'm just going to say I can only help water taoists. Obviously, really, really basic. Now, here's the issue I find with a lot of NPCs you see going around. They never do error checking. Just because we're not showing them option 1 doesn't mean they couldn't use option 1. They could use a command to change their job mid-NPC, like they could click the NPC as a water taoist, use a command to change to, let's say, a Trojan, and then use it. Obviously, that means they're probably a GM if you've unlocked that command for them anyways, but it could happen. The more harmful issue is that if they guessed or knew the NPC link back, they could use a proxy or a memory-based bot to just spoof a packet, say, hey, I'm using this NPC and I'm using option 1. The server doesn't know any better. It's just receiving a packet from the client saying, this is what I'm using. So just because we haven't given the option for the client to click it doesn't mean they couldn't somehow get here. So we're going to perform the exact same string of logic here. And we're just going to say, if they're a water taoist, allow them to buy. So then we're going to say, if client money greater or equal than 100, allow buy, else do not. We don't even need to output any text from this, so we'll just clean that up there. So if they have the money, we are going to add the item. Now let's just look up real quickly what the items are. I have a whole list of things here, so we're going to be going across Canyon. It could be one of 3 items here. I'm just going to copy paste these from my item type table, so you guys can, watching the video, can see what I'm doing wrong, because I'm definitely going to fuck this up. Will this not allow me to select multiple fields? Cool. Cool. So here's the 3 different item usages I'm seeing that all go to Canyon. I'm just going to make a guess here. I feel like we were somewhere around this section. So that's ID 10600033. So client money minus equals 100. We've already checked that they have enough. And then client add item. And there we go. So, is it not add item? There we go, create item. Sorry, I haven't been using this source in a while. I've been doing some work for other people, so all my naming conventions and everything are all fucked. Anyways, so that's really all you need to do for the logic. Let's output some handy text here. And just say, enjoy your wind spell. Add text, you do not have the required 100 gold. I guess it's silver and conquer, isn't it? Alright, so there's our NPC. That was really quick and easy overall. Oh, add option. Sorry, mistyped there. That was really quick and easy, was it not? You're not digging around in trying to search through a million different lines of code to try and figure out stuff. You're saying, here's one self-contained NPC. Now, I haven't done any of the item usages, but first let's log in and make sure this works. Obviously things debug, there's no errors in this section, so let's log back into the game and make sure that when we talk to the NPC, this code is being run. It definitely should be. So here's our space mark. When we click it, it says, I can only help water toast. Face looks fine on that. So we're going to set our job to 135, which should be water saint, if I remember correctly. Good. And it says, I can help you by selling you a wind spell. Yes, please. Enjoy your wind spell. There we go. And let's make sure it's taking our monies. There we go. Set my money to 1. I don't have 100 silver. Money 100. And that should succeed because we have just enough. There we go. We have 0 left. So when we use the item, that is ID 10600033 because that's the item we created. It has not yet been handled. So that is an unused item script. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to create a script for 10600033. Before I do that, though, let's just double check. Where is it that we want to be going? I'm going to say somewhere near here, which would the item usage is actually 3.1. So let's just create that item because this is the actual one we're going to be handing out from this. Yeah, this is like completely other side of the map. So I guessed wrong. So this is the item we're going to be using. So let's stop debugging. We're going to change the item reward to 10600031 because that's the item I just generated, and it seems to have the correct coordinates. So that's what we're making. Regardless, let's go with that. So that is how to add a basic NPC. Now we need to do basic item usages. So all we're going to do is go to items. May as well put it underneath gates because it looks pretty there. And let's copy and paste an existing one. Oh, I forget already what this ID was. Let's copy and paste that. Okay, so wind spell, not scroll. So we go to that, and again, if we try to debug, it's going to complain, oh my god, there's already an item with that usage. So let's change that. Let's just call it Ape City Wind Spell number 1. It makes it easier for us to find it in the future. It doesn't really matter. I'm just documenting my code here with some comments. So when we use item 10600031, we're going to change map to, oh god, it's 1020, isn't it? It should be 1020 824601. That's what the item was saying. 824601 was the coordinates, and I'm 90% sure 1020 is Ape Mountain. Let's actually just double check that because I can just go to the Ape City scroll. Yeah, item Ape City scroll sends you to map 1020 at the spawn point. Instead, we're going to be going to 1020 at these coordinates. Now, you can only use this scroll if you're on a map that allows you to use scrolls. That check's already there because we copied it from an existing thing here, an existing script, I suppose would be the correct term. You could add all sorts of checks in here if you really wanted. The item is only removed when you call delete item. Always delete the item. I see a lot of people not doing that. So then you can use it unlimited times. That's great if that's the intended use of your item, but most people don't intend for that. So here we've just added our item script. Let's check it, make sure it works. And again, you guys, it might take a little bit of adjustment to get used to this source, but I don't think anyone can deny that this is pretty simple. There we go, we used it. Hey look, we're right at our space mark. I can only help water terrorists, job 135, money, I'll just give myself some. There's our wind spell, gives us this when we use it. Really, it sends you right on top of the space mark? Well, that's what the item says it should do, so we're going to assume that that's where we should be going. You could change this script to send you wherever you want. I just copied the coordinates directly from the item itself. So boom, we've created a fresh NPC, and we've created a fresh item usage. So now that this is coded, let's just double check here. Go to uncoded NPC. Obviously, we have Solar Saint. So here's another space mark. We could go ahead and do the same thing for the next one. Notice it no longer sends me to the original space mark because we have added a usage for it. This command is pretty useful. I'm not trying to upsell people, but if you are looking to have some work done on the Redux source, it's included with the features. You may as well use it, right? I added a bunch of commands like that so you can set stuff up. Also, just as a quick side note, if you were to use a command like this or to find an NPC that, hey, I just really don't want this NPC in there, let's say it's just not an NPC supported by the version you're targeting, or it's not a quest you need in your server, you would just use delete NPC and then the ID, in this case 10039. So whatever it's listing here. I'm not going to do that, but it will immediately delete it from in-game. It'll delete it from the database. No one in the server, even before you restart it, will be able to see or use that NPC. And when you restart the server, it'll still be gone. So that's in all versions of Reduxes, including the public ones. So definitely take a look at that. If you guys have any issues with Redux and you want some basic guides, definitely let us know in the comments below, and we'll make sure that we can get you guys some extra information. I'd really like to see more people using this source. I'm going to be continuing to support it and provide new features, bug fixes, and efficiency changes. I think the next thing I'm doing for the The private versions of Redux is adding a pathing system for mobs so they're a little less stupid, as well as an event manager system so you can code your own PvP events with a couple lines of code. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you all later.